Welcome back to yet another 213 Crispy video, and today we are going to continue with working on our grind, basically to leveling up, but we've switched it up a little bit, and I went ahead and purchased a Bolt Reptilia, which is nothing but a Corvette Stingray. But this particular one is special because it is a part of the tuning DLC, and as you can notice by the ginormous hole in the hood and the dead indicator of the engine, that this thing is a supercharged engine, which is right over here on the stand. I have not built this engine yet, but the entire car is 100% ready to go besides the engine. I went ahead and took the initiative to do all the suspension work and all that fun stuff. Just, we haven't painted it yet. So that's going to be something that we'll do here by the end of the video. Also, we got another Bolt Hellcat, I believe it is. Yep, Bolt Hellcat. And it is also another supercharged engine. So basically went to an auction earlier today. No, actually it was like a week ago. And apparently got a little crazy with replacing some of my cars with supercharged engines. So without further ado, let's get back into doing some YouTube videos for my YouTube fans out there. My name is 213 Crispy on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitch at 213 Crispy, and same thing with Twitter. You can find me pretty much anywhere under that same name. So without further ado, let's go ahead and we're gonna start ripping this engine apart. Like I said, it was a auction car, so most of, like, the car when I had it, most of it was about 45%, and I'm going to assume that this engine is not much different, so, like, that part was 50, 33, 36. So most of these parts I'm probably going to be able to repair. I am not going to put any tuning DLC parts or anything in it that would change horsepower ratings or money or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and do a bone stock restoration, which I am perfectly fine with. So we're going to start by removing carburetors, the air scoop, taking out the front end, which is going to be the belts, radiator, power steering pump, water pump, pulleys, pretty much everything you can think of off the front of this engine. That's going to be our water pump. Go ahead and take off our distributor, or our coil pack, I should say. Our fuel filter. Timing belt, or timing chain cover, however you're going to pronounce it. This one should be a chain. Cam gear. And that's everything off the front. Let's go ahead and take our oil filter off while we're here. Back up to the supercharger. And crank this big bad boy off. Got our intake manifold for the supercharger. And then we are going to take off our ignition wires, our clips that hold the cap on both sides, front and rear. Distributor cap, distributor rotor, and distributor. Our engine head covers. And one thing I can at least say with this particular engine is they've done a pretty fair analysis or design, I should say, of how this particular engine goes together. The downside to it is it's a little bit more tedious to work on because it's got each individual rocker for your intake and your exhaust ports, which is nice. And then same thing with the push rods and so forth. The other engines, you can just replace your valve train simply with one part, and it's held on with like 3 bolts, I believe it is, which is not a very realistic model. I think it's the Hemi, to be exact. I think it's the Hemi Cuda that I did. I'll take out our spark plugs. And then we're going to drop off our exhaust manifold, which really I'm going to call it a header. exhaust manifold does not like that. Because an exhaust manifold usually would have 4 in a line, and it comes out with one port, and it's usually cast, either aluminum or iron, but usually they're iron. When you have tubes that come down with an even length of all 4 down to one collector like this, that's a header, not a exhaust manifold. But nitpicking. Other engine head cover. I'm going to try to make this video about a 45-minute-ish video. Hopefully maybe a little bit shorter. Try to keep them within a reasonable time frame for you guys, the viewer, that if you're working, playing, listening, whatever you're doing, and you decide to watch my video, that it's not a terribly long length, which is sometimes why I may split a vehicle up into 2 parts or 3, just simply due to time. It's easier for you guys to watch 30-minute video segments than it is a 3-hour video of doing a complete teardown and rebuild of a vehicle. So now we're down to what's called a short block, which is basically your crankshaft, camshaft, pistons. Well, actually, I should say just crankshaft, block, pistons, rods, that kind of stuff, and your oil pan. Nothing on the top half. Usually no cam. Sometimes they'll have cams. It just depends, but usually no cam. So we are done here. Let's go ahead and we're going to rotate this engine around so I can get to the bottom half. And we're going to tear this short block apart. And we'll get to repairing our parts. Slapping this big bad supercharger back together. And see what we got. Taking out your pistons. Oops. Cap off first. And I got 2 more left to go. We're going to pull our camshaft out. We'll take our crankshaft bearing caps out. And we'll pull off our crankshaft and we'll pull off our block. So now we are fully stripped apart. That didn't take us terribly long. We're going to go to our repair bench and we are going to start repairing as much parts as we can. Good news is it looks like we didn't lose too many parts, so let's go ahead and mount our engine block and our crankshaft. I believe all of my caps repaired, which they did. And I don't think the pistons and the rods ever repair, which they did not. So let's go ahead and order our first set of parts, which is going to be new rings, pistons, and rods. So let's scroll on down here. I believe all my caps survived, I think. So, pistons with concords, I need 8 of these. And we're going to do 8 sets of rings. 7, 8. And then now we are going to go back to our engine. And we are going to slap on some new parts, which is going to be new pistons with new rings. And I believe all of my caps repaired, but we're going to find out here in a little bit. Back to her on. Normally you would install one rod and piston at a time, and then you would rotate the engine assembly, which is your crankshaft, every single time that you install a piston, because you want to make sure that everything is not in a bind. It's happened before where you get all of these put together, and then you go later down the road, you get halfway with building your engine, you decide, oh, hey, let's go ahead and crank this thing over by hand, make sure it's free, and voila, nothing works. Like, it's seized up, basically. It's a bad feeling, because then you got to tear it all apart and find out which one didn't work, or which one didn't seat properly, and it just becomes a nightmare of a problem. So, again, it's a game. It's just nitpicking. What do we got going on the engine up here? So, I don't remember what all repaired. I didn't pay enough attention, but looks like both heads are good, so let's go ahead and slap those on. I know my rocker arms are not going to be repairable, and I don't think the push rods were either. They usually are not, unless they've changed that since I've played the game, but we're going to find out. Push rods actually did repair, or I had extra sets, one or the other. And then rocker arms did not, so that would make some sense to me. Go ahead and slap our push rods in. And I've bent a few of these in my lifetime. Don't want to admit it too well, but it's what happens when you have sports cars. You go a couple RPMs higher than your engine's supposed to, or if your valves aren't set very close to where they need to be, the extra stress and pressure that's created will bend one of these things in a heartbeat. Usually it's caused from over-revving. And then it'll cause a lifter tick, or a camshaft tick, however you pronounce it, but usually it's a lifter. Alright, intake manifold repaired, so we'll go ahead and slap that on. And I'm going to save the supercharger for towards the end. It's about not needed right now, so let's go ahead and install our camshaft. And I bet cam gear did not repair, they usually don't. Distributor also did not. So I need some parts. How about the power steering pump? Good. Yes, I know I had performance parts on here. Same thing with the alternator, but I'm not putting it on. I'm just bouncing around at this point, just so I have all the parts that I currently have available without going to the parts store. Coil, shockingly repaired. Didn't think they would. Fuel filter, obviously going to need. I went over to this side of the engine. So I need a distributor, cam gear, fuel filter, spark plugs. Need a little bit of stuff. So let's go ahead, make our parts order here. Like I said, I am not putting in any performance parts on this particular build. We're just going bone stock. So let's go ahead and go down this list of parts that we may need. Engine. I know I'm going to need air filters. I don't remember which ones. I don't think it was 14Cs. Probably going to need an air scoop. So let's go ahead and pick one of those up. I need a cam gear for a V8 overhead valve. I need... I don't know if the carburetors worked or not. I believe they were clip Bs, so I'm going to need 2 of those for the distributor cap. Exhaust manifolds are good. I needed a fuel filter. Ignition cap. We will need. Go ahead and pick up a distributor while I'm at it. I'm going to need a rotor. Going to need a set of wires. And I don't remember which one. I believe it's this one. We'll come back to this one. I bet it's the V8s. Intake manifold was good. We're going to need an oil filter. I believe it was the V8. No, it's a black one. Overhead valve. Accessories, I think, was all good. There's my air scoop air filter. I need 2 of those. I don't remember the belts off the top of my head. That's too far out. I do know that it's going to take some supercharger parts. We're going to need 8 spark plugs. We're going to need a supercharger belt for a V8 overhead valve, supercharger water pump pulley. We are going to need a timing chain for a V8 overhead valve, I believe it is. We're going to need a water pump. Probably. But let's wait on that. And I believe it's serpentine belt. A and B overhead valve. That would be B, A overhead valve. And then I need rocker arms, which is where? Rocker arms. I need 16 of these. 15, 16. And we are going to go ahead and slap some parts together. Go to this side. Same thing goes along with your rocker arms. You're supposed to set them at a certain tension, like foot-pounds, and then you also have to gap, which is a small space between your rocker arm and your push rod springs, basically the top of your push rod. It's not as simple as just throwing on some screws. Not a big deal. It's a computer game. So we are done there. Let's go ahead and throw on our distributor cap, or distributor. We're going to put on our rotor. we're going to put on our cap, and then we are going to install our clips. Going to install our spark plugs, and you do all of those first, because once you get your spark plugs in and you put that cap on, then it's going to give you the option to install your spark plug wires. And if you do not get those clips on before you install the wires, it can be kind of a pain to get, and I'll show you here in a second. The rear clip on some of these engines are in a pretty terrible spot. So yeah, you see what I'm talking about with this. So now imagine trying to get in here and get that little that clip from any normal angle, because these wires now get in the way. So I was right, it's the standard V8 spark plug wires, so we'll get that later. Let's go and mount our supercharger on. See if our carburetor's repaired. I believe they both did, which they did, which I am happy about. Going to throw on the last carburetor. We got some new air filters to go on top, and then got an air scoop to slap on top of that big bad baby. So we are going back to the front end of this engine. So fuel filter, cam here, there. Timing chain, which actually repaired, surprisingly. They usually don't. Timing chain cover. And a water pump, which repaired, by the way. Crankshaft pulley. So I need a crankshaft pulley for an overhead valve. That's the one part I forgot. Crankshaft pulley. So we're going to go back to our parts department. Drive to your local Napa auto parts store and ask them for a crankshaft pulley for a V8 overhead valve, which is right there. So go ahead and mount. And I forgot my spark plug wires. So now we get to make another unwanted trip all the way back to Napa. And tell them that you forgot spark plug wires. So yeah, that's it. We just need spark plug wires, and we're ready to go ahead and throw this engine in the car. So I'm gonna go grab some spark plug wires. Oop, passed them up. Spark plug wires V8. Part mount. Spark plug wires. And we should be done. So let's go ahead and we are going to take the engine off the crate. We'll walk over here. We're going to grab our engine hoist. And we're going to move that back to our car at lift A. Open the hood. Install engine. So that is done. We are going to need to install ourselves some oil, because I have a bad habit of forgetting to put oil in. Usually I do not add an oil filter until after I get it in the car, because it's my reminder that I need to put oil in the engine. Because if I don't put an oil filter in it, which actually it's funny, there's not one on it, so I probably just made a mess. That's funny. That's really funny, actually. So yeah, I totally, like I said, I usually do not add an oil filter until I get to this stage, because it's my reminder to myself to put oil in it. And if I don't remember, no matter what I do, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. Oh, I forgot the battery and the brakes. So apparently I didn't do the body completely. Thought I did. I also have exhaust work to do. No big deal. We got a little bit of time. Gearbox. Looking good. I think the starter repaired. We're gonna find out. It did. So now this is gonna leave me with exhaust. So I need rear muffler for V8s, middle muffler, and a front exhaust pipe. V8 over valve A. So we're gonna go back to our Napa Auto Parts store. Exhaust. V8 overhead valve A × 2. I need middle mufflers, which should be right there. And then I need rear mufflers for a V8 overhead valve × 2. And that's going to get me all of my parts that I need for the exhaust. Go ahead and mount. All of these parts on up. Oops. Take that off. I don't want the performance part on this car. And I put the wrong one on that side too. That's funny. There we go. Okay. And our drive shaft. Go ahead and do both the front and the rear. We are done underneath the hood, so let's go ahead and lower this on down. I'm going to hop over here and grab my battery, or at least I thought I had it. Let's go ahead and charge my battery. And we are good. I wish batteries charged that quick. That would be so nice. But they don't. We don't have a radiator either. Slacking. Part mounts. Let's go ahead and slap our brand new battery on. Our brake servo, which is repaired, and our front radiator, which we are ready to go. So now, I believe I have 100% on this car. Oh, we missed a part. What part did we miss? A rubber bushing. Are you serious? Probably the rear. But we'll check the fronts. I got one there. I got one there. It looks like I have one there. And I have one there. So let's go check. There it is. Okay, now I'm at 100%. There we go. Let's go ahead and take our Corvette and let's put her in the paint booth and give her something. I just don't know what color we want to do. And it looks like I have a viewer. So you, viewer, are the lucky person that gets to pick what color we paint this Corvette. So let me know what color you would like for me to paint our Corvette. So type in chat. I'll see it. What color you think would look nice on our supercharged Bolt Reptilia. Just keep in mind, it's got black interior. It's got that nice dark, I'm going to say walnut wood finish with a mirrored finish on the dashboard over here with your wood. Real dark, real nice, classy look. Oh, looks like my viewer left. So I guess I get to pick the paint. I want something dark. Yeah, I want something dark. Because the dark interior. That don't look too bad. What do we got in the livery anyway? What in the world is that? Carbon fiber. That looks ugly. Red racing stripes on a hood without... That's ugly. I think it's even more uglier. White stripes wouldn't look bad if they went down the hood, but they don't. And sad part is they probably won't with any of these hoods because the DLC hood. So yeah, we're gonna leave it a solid color. You know what? I'm thinking white. Ooh. We need a bright color. Yeah, I think we're going to do white. Or whatever color this is. It might be a grayish color. Well, I'm pretty sure it's white. So let's go ahead and move this car on out to our garage entrance A. And I'm going to skip the dyno. You know what? Let's go ahead and throw it on dyno. Can we get the time real quick? Yeah, that white looks pretty good. Pretty classy, clean lines. What it needs is those side pipes that come out the side and dump out right here. That would be so badass. But unfortunately, the game doesn't have that. Or at least it does not in the factory format. It may in the aftermarket world with mods, but I don't have any mods. So let's go ahead and move our car. We're going to put it on the dyno. We're going to see what it looks like. Keep in mind, this is not a tuning DLC build. This is just a bone stock car. So, in a perfect world, it should be producing 498 horsepower. But we are going to find out just exactly what it's supposed to do. Like I said, bone stock, we did not put any aftermarket parts. It's all back to the original. So it should, in theory, give us 498 horsepower. We'll see. Yep, 498 horsepower, so 0 gain, 0 loss. That's what I would expect. So now, let's go ahead and let's move our car back to the garage entrance A. Shut our door. Shut our paint booth. And let's take this to... Let's go ahead and take it to the speed track. I'm not a fan of the speed track. Only because it does not give you times based on a either 1/8 mile or 1/4 mile. Yes, I know, I'm getting kind of picky, but at least here in the United States, you don't race to a 200 or 300 kilometers an hour or miles per hour, or however you want to look at it. It's based on your time, on how fast you react to the time, and the time it takes for you to get to a 1/4 mile. So I'm up to 200, 230, and somewhere about here is where it's going to cap out. So 235 is top speed. And I don't know how you get to 300, because you can't. So, let's go ahead and we're going to take our car and we're going to run it on the airfield. And we're going to have a little bit of fun with it and see how great she'll drift. And we'll go from there. And then we'll wrap up this video. Pretty simple, pretty easy build. Nothing too complicated, but it gets the job done. That's what I like about these cars. And doing the build somewhat ahead of time. Like I said, sometimes I'll split it up into 2 parts, where I'll do the suspension and the body on one video, and then I'll do the engine on another video, and then drive it. But this particular one, we just did the one. We're just doing one video on it. Everybody understands the suspension. Nothing's changed when it comes to any of that. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to the abandoned... Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the abandoned airport. As soon as it decides to load. And what I usually will do is we'll take her on over here. I already know how fast it'll go. But what I do is I'll line up on this crack. I'm telling you, it's not a bad color on this car. We'll get her lined up, and then we are going to do what's called a neutral bomb, or try to burn out, basically. You hit and hold the space bar, that's your clutch, and then you give it gas, and then you let off the space bar. So we gave a little bit of rubber on first gear, but that's it. And then we already know 235 kilometers an hour is max speed. But let's see how well it turns. Actually turns really well, and it doesn't get all loose and like crazy like some of the other cars. So if you're looking for a car that'll turn, and the problem is it's kind of on the tight side, so it wants to push. But yeah, I mean, you have to keep in mind it's got a lot of weight on the front end because of that supercharger. If I keep it in first gear, man, it don't do bad at all. But as soon as it wants to shift, or if I straighten up that steering wheel, you notice it just stops. That's second gear, and that's about all she wants. But that's going to wrap up our video. We're going to call this Bolt Reptilia, or Reptile, however you want to pronounce it, a complete video. Nice, looking clean, supercharged, sticking out of the hood, very aggressive. Great car, have nothing against it. I think it's fantastic, and other than that, we're going to go ahead and conclude our video with this. So make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you like the videos that I'm doing. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Even if it's a thumbs down, I appreciate any feedback you can give me. Feel free to chat away on my videos on YouTube. Again, it's at 213 Crispy on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter. You can find me just about everywhere. I usually will stream early mornings, for me anyway. I'm Eastern time, so I'm typically around 7:30, 8 a.m. till about 11:30 in my time in the mornings, because that's before I go to work. That's why my time frames are a little bit different than some of you guys. If you're able to stop in and stream or chat with me while I'm streaming, I appreciate any conversations that happen, because I enjoy having the interaction with you guys as the viewers, which is fantastic for me, but it's also great for you guys as the viewership, because then you get to enjoy having conversations with other people versus just watching YouTube videos like what I got here that's going to be posted. I will typically stream it and record it at the same time, and then I'll post it later that day. So like this particular video, I am also streaming live on Twitch, but it's designed to be a YouTube video. That's why there's a lot more talking on my end than there would be normally if it was just a stream. But yeah, I appreciate any input, feedback, comments, suggestions. If you want to see something built, let me know. I'll be more than glad to get it, build it, and stream it and record it for you guys so you can watch it. If it wasn't for you guys as the viewers, I probably wouldn't do this. I mean, I enjoy playing games, but sometimes it's just it gets aggravating, and I try to switch around from games to games to keep you guys as the viewers entertained, because I'm sure you don't want to just sit here and watch non-stop recordings or streams of Car Mechanic Simulator or World of Warcraft or PUBG or whatever it is that you guys watch, because I will pretty much stream everything out there if I have the option to play it. So without further ado, thank you guys very much for your time. Have a great and wonderfully lovely Wednesday afternoon, and I will see you all either tonight or tomorrow sometime. Have a great day.